Are you thinking about moving in with your children in your old age? It might sound like a loving and convenient choice, but what if I told you that this seemingly harmless decision could cost you your financial independence, shatter your emotional well-being, and worst of all, destroy the most precious family relationships you've spent a lifetime building? I know this because I made that very mistake when I was 72. And I live with the consequences every single day, haunted by a regret I can never undo. In this video, I'm going to reveal the raw and painful truth about why moving in with your children after 70 could be one of the most dangerous decisions a senior can make, and more importantly, how you can protect yourself from the nightmare I now face every hour, every minute of my life. Let me tell you the story of Henry. At 74, Henry was an independent, strong man who had spent over 40 years in his peaceful little home out in rural Maine. Since his wife passed away, he took care of himself, tended his garden every morning, and occasionally went fishing with old friends. Everything was just fine, until his son, Brian, made him an offer that seemed too good to turn down. "Dad, sell the house and come live with us. You'll be closer to the grandkids, save money, and we'll take great care of you." Henry thought about it for a long time, but eventually he said yes. He sold the house he had loved for a lifetime, put most of his furniture into storage, and walked away with nearly $240,000 from the sale. Then, he moved 1,000 miles across the country to Colorado to live with Brian's family. At first, everything felt warm and hopeful, but within just 6 months, Henry's savings were nearly gone. The $240,000 slowly disappeared into home renovations, his grandson's tuition, and Brian's business venture. No one asked Henry. Tensions started to rise. The father-son bond began to fray. Henry felt like an unwelcome guest in someone else's home. His grandson started avoiding him. He couldn't sleep. His blood pressure spiked. And the worst part, he had nowhere to go back to. "I lost everything," Henry said through tears, "and I will never get it back." Sound familiar? This could happen to anyone. And the heartbreaking truth is, it's already happening to thousands of older adults across America right now. But you don't have to be the next victim. Let me show you the 5 deadly mistakes of living with your children after 70 and what you must do today to protect yourself and your future. 1. The financial catastrophe. When everything you saved your whole life disappears in months. Have you ever thought that one single move could wipe out everything you've ever saved? Many older adults never see it coming. Moving in with your children might seem like a loving and practical choice, but it could drain your entire life savings faster than you ever imagined. Elder finance experts call this a perfect storm, where money, emotions, and blurred responsibilities collide, and the consequences are often devastating. Take Linda, for example. She was 71, living happily in a small apartment in Nevada after retiring. Life was peaceful until her son Jason invited her to move in with his family in Seattle. "Mom, sell your apartment. Come live with us. We'll combine the money into one account and take care of everything." "You won't have to worry anymore," Jason said. Trusting her son, Linda sold her home for nearly $200,000 and moved to Seattle. She placed her trust and her money in Jason's hands. Less than a year later, over $70,000 was gone. Jason had used the money to pay off credit cards, renovate the house, and even buy a new truck. When Linda asked about it, Jason snapped, "You have a place to live, food on the table. What more do you want?" Linda was speechless. She had no money, no legal rights, and no way out. The most heartbreaking part? Everything that happened was perfectly legal. She had voluntarily put the money in a joint account. She had no legal claim to get it back. You think this could never happen in your family? Be careful. Even in the most loving families, financial boundaries can easily blur when living under one roof. Questions like, who pays the utility bills? Should I help cover home repairs? The grandkids need tuition. Should I help? Financial pressure never truly ends. So what should you do? Keep your finances 100% separate and independent. Never combine bank accounts with your children, no matter how much you trust them. Don't transfer assets without a legal agreement. If you want to be close to your kids, consider a private apartment, a small house, or an independent senior living community. And above all, talk to an elder law attorney to protect your wealth and rights. Ask yourself, am I really willing to risk my entire life savings and relationship with my children just because I believe money won't change anything? Most people who lost everything once thought the same way. 2. Losing your independence. The silent enemy that steals your health and dignity. Have you ever wondered what truly causes many older adults to decline so quickly after moving in with their children? It's not illness, it's not age, it's the loss of independence. Geriatric specialists have warned, when an older person loses the ability to make their own decisions, both physical and mental health begin to decline rapidly. And that's not just theory. Let me tell you about Mr. Harold, a 76-year-old man who used to be strong, joyful, and independent. He lived alone in Maine after his wife passed away. Every morning, he took walks, drove himself to meet friends, cooked his own meals, and sipped coffee by the window. His daughter Emily worried about him being alone. After much persuasion, Harold agreed to move into the converted basement of her home in Colorado. At first, things seemed fine, but within weeks, Harold realized this was no longer his home. He had to ask permission to invite guests over. He wasn't allowed to cook dinner. It disrupted the family's routine. His young grandson barged into his room without knocking. Emily checked his medications, his food, even the shows he watched on TV. "It's because I care, Dad," she'd say. A few months later, Harold grew quiet, withdrawn. His friends stopped calling. He no longer wanted to go out or even speak. The man who once radiated life and warmth had become a shadow inside his own family. You think your children wouldn't treat you that way? They may not mean to, but it happens, slowly, subtly, and often without anyone realizing. They start by reminding you to take your pills. Then they tell you what you should or shouldn't eat. They offer to take you to the doctor. Then they start deciding who you should or shouldn't see. And suddenly, you're no longer you. So what should you do? Guard your independence like your life depends on it, because it does. If you want to live close to family, choose a separate unit or senior apartment nearby. If you need help, hire a professional caregiver, so you stay in control of your own life. Start exploring senior living options in your area today. Some have long wait lists. It's better to register now, even if you're not ready yet. Ask yourself, am I willing to trade my freedom and dignity just so my children can sleep better at night? Once your independence is gone, it's very rare to ever get it back. 3. Broken family bonds, the price no one wants to pay. Do you believe that moving in with your adult children, something meant to bring families closer, could actually shatter your relationship forever? I'm not talking about small arguments or occasional tension. I'm talking about a deep rift, the kind that may never heal. According to family therapists, over 70% of multi-generational households experience long-term stress that eventually damages the parent-child relationship. sometimes beyond repair. Take the story of Margaret, 74. She had always been close to her daughter, Nora. They called each other every day, went out for dinner on weekends, and shared everything. After a minor fall, Margaret decided to move into Nora's quiet suburban home. At first, everything seemed fine, but within just 3 months, the dynamic began to shift. Margaret felt like a guest, an outsider, in her own daughter's house. Nora, on the other hand, began to see her mother as critical and hard to please. Family dinners became tense. The laughter of her grandchildren was silenced by, "Keep it down, Grandma's resting." Nora's husband started working late just to avoid the heavy atmosphere. 9 months later, Margaret moved into a small rented apartment. But the damage was done. 5 years have passed, and they only speak a few times a year. She hasn't seen her grandkids since the day she moved out. Think your family is different? Everyone does, until it happens to them. When multiple generations live under one roof, even the smallest differences in routines, habits, and personal preferences can spark conflict. Roles become blurred. Are you a parent or just a dependent? A guest or a member of the household? Do you have a say, or should you stay quiet and be grateful? These tensions simmer until affection wears thin and the emotional distance becomes too great. So what can you do? Maintain healthy boundaries. Stay close emotionally, but keep separate living spaces. Preserve your role as a parent by keeping your own home or apartment. If finances are tight, consider sharing a home with a senior friend. Companionship without family strain. Ask yourself, am I willing to risk losing the bond I've spent a lifetime building with my children and grandchildren just to save a few $100s a month? Once a relationship is damaged by co-living stress, it's hard to bring it back. Don't let a well-meaning decision become a lifelong regret. 4. When health starts to slip, how one move can upend everything. Did you know that moving in with your adult children doesn't just strain relationships, it can actually shorten your life? It sounds dramatic, but it's very real. Studies from geriatric experts show that when older adults lose control over their daily routines, their physical and mental health declines twice as fast. Let's look at Harold's story. He was 76, living independently in a cozy apartment, managing his blood pressure and arthritis well, thanks to a consistent, structured lifestyle. Every morning, he walked for 30 minutes around the block. He ate on schedule, took his medications right on time, went to bed early, and most importantly, no one disrupted his rhythm. Then one day, his son Lucas pleaded with him to move in. "It'll be safer, Dad. We'll take care of you." Harold hesitated, but eventually agreed. After all, he was getting older. Within weeks, his life began to unravel. His sleep was disturbed by the kids' late-night noise. Mealtimes became irregular, thrown off by the chaos of a busy household. No one remembered to remind him about his pills. Morning walks? Forgotten. Too cold outside, and no one had time to go with him. The result? Within 6 months, his blood pressure spiked despite stronger medication. He grew anxious, restless, sleep-deprived. Mysterious headaches became frequent. His arthritis worsened due to lack of movement. Then came a mild stroke. Doctors traced the root cause: stress and an abrupt change in his environment. You might be thinking, that won't happen to me. Most seniors do, until just one change throws everything off balance. Because when you live in someone else's space, even your own children's, you often lose control of your daily rhythm, your diet and medication routine, your freedom to rest and recharge in peace. And when your health suffers, you'll need more care, creating more pressure on your family. trapping everyone in a painful cycle no one wanted. So what can you do? Maintain your own living space where you control your environment, your health, and your habits. If you need support, hire in-home care. Even a few hours a day can help without giving up your independence. Talk to your doctor or a geriatric specialist before making major living changes, especially if you have chronic conditions. And remember this: when you're strong and healthy, you are a blessing to your family. When your health fails, you may become a burden, no matter how much they love you. Don't let silent sacrifice turn into a health crisis. Your well-being matters more than you may realize. Start by holding on to the one thing that protects your health more than anything else: your independence. 5. Legal loopholes and hidden abuse. When good intentions turn dangerous. Do you trust your children to always love, care for, and protect you? Of course you do. Harold did too, until the day he realized he no longer had control over his own life. After a minor stroke, Harold needed time to recover. His son, Lucas, stepped in, taking full control of his father's finances and healthcare decisions. "Also, Dad doesn't have to worry about a thing," he said. But within just a few months, things started slipping off track. Harold's bank account was converted to a joint ownership so Lucas could help with bills. Then came the power of attorney, signed while Harold was still weak and in the hospital. Strange expenses began to appear: a family vacation, online shopping, home renovations, none of which Harold approved. He started to feel like an unwelcome guest in a life that used to be his own. The most heartbreaking moment? When he finally spoke up, Lucas said, "Dad, you're old. You just don't understand. I'm doing what's best for you." And that's when Harold knew. He had lost not just financial control, but the right to decide what happens to his body and his future. This isn't as rare as you think. A report from the U.S. National Institute on Aging found that 1 in 10 seniors living with family have experienced financial exploitation or over-control, and most never report it, out of fear, shame, or simply not wanting to break the family apart. Don't let that happen to you. Yes, love your children, but protect yourself too. Keep financial independence. Always maintain a separate bank account and know where your money goes. Have clear legal documents. Decide now. Who gets to speak for you if you can't? Choose a trusted representative. Consider appointing a lawyer or neutral advisor when drafting wills or powers of attorney. Build an outside support network. Friends, doctors, neighbors, people who can recognize signs of abuse or overreach. Because once you hand over all your rights to someone else, it's no longer your choice whether they're protecting you or controlling you. Final thought: don't let your later years become borrowed time. Love your family, but don't trade your freedom for a place to stay. Choose independence, not because you're selfish, but because it's the greatest gift you can give both yourself and the people you love. When a senior holds on to their freedom, the whole family stays in peace. If you're standing at the crossroads, considering moving in with your children, or if they've gently suggested, "Why don't you just move in? It'll be easier." Please, pause for a moment. Not because they don't love you, but because love alone may not be enough to protect you from the quiet, long-lasting consequences that come with that decision. I once believed I would be cared for, cherished, and spend my final years surrounded by family. Instead, I lost my freedom, my finances, my health, and the relationship I once held dearest. Don't let my story become yours too. You deserve an old age that is independent, peaceful, and filled with respect. Not one of dependence, silence, or regret. If this video made you pause, reflect, or opened your eyes to something important, share it with someone you care about. Hit like to help this message reach others. And don't forget to subscribe to Life in Words, where we tell real stories, share meaningful lessons, and offer valuable guidance to help you protect what matters most, no matter your age. Growing older shouldn't be the end of your story. It should be the beginning of a new chapter, one that's gentle, empowered, and worth living. Thank you for listening. I believe you'll make the right decision for yourself and for those you love.